Hello.
Hey Leslie, it's Dan. We're supposed to be making a video for these people. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, I was just finishing up the training video for the software we're giving away, but I guess we should do this first. Hi everyone, this is Leslie Rohde. Welcome back to your free course in ranking, the Link Liberation Way. By the end of this video, we want you to have a solid understanding of just how our unique approach to SEO can be used to start or grow your online business. In order to accomplish that, we're going to do a couple of things today. You're going to meet 4 amazing people, all students of ours from different walks of life, and they will tell you in their own words the results they've gotten with Link Liberation and how it has transformed the way they do business.
In between, we're going to teach you how they're doing it and focus on one particular method called abstracting. Now, abstracting is something that everyone should be doing, so we'll also be showing you, as we go, how you can do it yourself.
Before we get to the first case study, a warning. These results are anything but typical, because the typical result, if you want to call it that, is that most people sign up for training programs with the best of intentions, but stop short of actually, doing anything.
To make sure that doesn't happen to you in Link Liberation, we've set it up as a series of 2-week sprints that will let you implement one piece at a time and start getting results much faster. The stuff we're doing first in the course is the same stuff that the people in these case studies are doing with great results. And for folks who already have some experience with link building, blogging, and social media, the time you spend learning and maybe unlearning a bit will probably be more than the time it actually takes to get this stuff done.
In fact, there's a very good chance that what we teach you in Link Liberation will be less work than what you are doing now, and with better results too. So let's start by talking with Nick Lemons. Now we call Nick the newbie here because he only just started his very first online business in late 2010, but he's come a long way since then.
Hi, I'm Nick Lemons. I live in England, just above London, and I've started marketing in the end of 2010. That's when I built my first website and tried to run my own business. Before that, I've worked in corporate jobs for a lot of years. Obviously thought I'd build a website and I'm gonna get clients, but yeah, that didn't really work. So I had to do some research on what makes site rank and how you can actually get traffic and that sort of thing. So I've run through a whole bunch of schemes. I had just over 100 visitors, but if I looked into the details, I had about 29 unique people on my website in the first month, which was a bit disappointing because they're my sister, my brothers, my father, and the whole family, basically, and that was it. I'm just 10,700 and a bit. So it's a huge jump forward, and it's been going. I quadrupled. So when I signed up from the month before to I started, it quadrupled my traffic. But quadrupling 100 to to 400 is not a big thing. But it has been keep on going up and doubling and working out. And so yeah, last month I had 10,000. As soon as I started writing consistently more, it just happened. It was really the content push, that made a huge difference. One of the things this whole thing has done for me is giving me a fantastic work-life balance, because obviously I got the income and I'm at home, which is massive to do that. Is that I now actually consult and advise on SEO, which is like, I didn't know anything at the end of 2010. I didn't even, no. And now actually I've advised an e-commerce store, I advised a bank, and some other smaller companies on SEO, which is like really it's an income stream I never thought I would have, but it's a little nice extra. I actually stopped tracking all the new stuff I'm ranking for because it's just you just can't keep up with it. But all the main tough keywords I choose back in 2010, I actually have really good rankings. Some of them rank number 1, some of them in the top 5. But if I count it all up, I got over 25 to 40 keywords that are in the top 10. I think I have 9 or 10 that are number 1. Well, if you don't have an audience, you're pretty much going nowhere.
Notice that one of the things Nick identified as being a big deal for everyone is building an audience, which we talked about in our previous video. But did you notice that things started really taking off for Nick once he started what he called the content posts? What Nick was actually talking about there was something that's really easy to do and is the foundation of what Dan and I call a content pyramid.
At the bottom of the pyramid is the links and brief comments that you're sharing on Twitter, like we showed you with the audience building technique in the previous video. There are actually other channels that you can share links through, like Facebook, Pinterest, and others, although you do have to treat each of them a little differently, which is why in these free videos we chose Twitter as a starting point, because it's the easiest one by far for you to understand and also the safest one for you to use.
But there's another level of leverage that you can apply here. In fact, even with other people's content, there are several levels to the pyramid. That brings us to the next layer of the content pyramid, which is called abstracts, and the process we call abstracting. If you recall the stories that we were sharing links to from the last video, an abstract uses the same story to create content on your site quickly, easily, cheaply, and in a way that has been repeatedly shown to aid in ranking very rapidly in all kinds of markets. An abstract is simply a description of the story that you're linking to, followed by a link. It's posted to your blog, which typically will be hosted on the website you're trying to get ranked, and there are significant benefits to hosting it there in terms of its effect on ranking.
Now, we've used the word leverage a time or two already, and I'm going to use it again now. Leverage in the classical sense is the way that one person with a stick, that's the lever, can lift and move a big rock, something that they could never even budge on their own without using a lever. In link liberation, leverage means taking a small investment of time or money, for example, the time you use to find stories to share on Twitter, and getting more out of it, preferably a lot more.
Now with abstracting, you can reuse the stories you've already found, and by posting a brief description and a link on your website, which doesn't take a lot of work, you can leverage the time you spent on audience building to help you create more content and make your site rank better. We'll get back to that and show you how abstracting works and why it works so well in just a bit. But there's someone else you should meet first.
My name is Phil Weaver. I'm from Central California, and I've been doing marketing online for over 10 years. I first discovered the link liberation during the LL2 launch. I had known about you guys previously from the other companies you've been involved with, and I had followed you for several years actually. But when the LL2 launch came out, I jumped in on that opportunity. I'm involved with lots of markets. We've done, originally we did an exercise video, which was a Kung Fu-based exercise video. We did a physical product, which was a belt buckle knife, and that expanded into selling other e-commerce products. I've got a educational therapy product, which is a downloadable product. Teaches them how to work with their kids to overcome different hurdles, different learning hurdles, whether they've got a problem with reading or math or whatever. Teaches them how to do that. Yeah, the educational product is the one we've done the most abstracting on, and the link liberation. That was a little bit of a difficult market at first because we found that, when a parent has a kid that's got a learning disability, they don't really want to talk about that, so that made it difficult to get them to repost and like it and that sort of thing. But then branching off into other related markets, we were able to do that. So we have a steady stream of abstracts going out, which is a really good news source for anyone who's interested in the given learning disabilities. And then we've got other sites for which are just a branch off of that, which we use for audience building. It's been a really steady climb. We started off before LL2, and we were getting about 30 visitors a day. We were working hard to get that too. We were doing all the old school stuff, link wheels and all of that good stuff, and not so good stuff. And that was just a lot of work. It was, you had not much return for what was going on. And so we have climbed from about that 30 visitors a day to around 500 a day. And it's been a very systematic process. Every new thing that we've done builds upon the old things. It's not like you're just continuously on that wheel trying to pump out, link wheels and all that. So it really was liberating. The name of the course is perfect because we're moving forward. Now we get a system in place somebody else is working the system, and I get moving to the next project of expanding the business, opening up into another market, another channel, something like that. We've got a lot of long tail rankings, and then of course there's the shorter tail, more competitive phrases that we work specifically on. And yes, we hold several number one rankings and some other front page rankings that we're trying to push up to number one also. You know, for the most part runs at place, and we can move into something else. So it's just allows us, everything we do now is focused on expansion and growth.
Phil's doing really well, and at this point, he's been using our methods for long enough and with enough sites that he knows intuitively what he needs to do.
Even better, Phil has taken our advice in terms of setting up processes in his business so that all of this stuff pretty much runs on autopilot, allowing him to focus on his next opportunity. The growth that Phil and others have experienced from applying link liberation techniques isn't an accident. And it's no accident that he uses abstracting as a growth engine in all of his businesses.
Abstracting, when you actually post the content to your main website, has some great SEO benefits. First off, you're adding fresh content all the time, which helps with every search engine, and especially Google. You're also creating unique and useful content, which serves a real audience of human users, so you get great social engagement too. Plus, adding more pages, in case you didn't know this, actually increases the amount of authority, what Google calls PageRank, across your site, and that helps you rank better and get more traffic for all of your search terms. And finally, even if you post this content on a separate site, abstracting makes it easy for you to create what we call a virtuous circle. Now, before I explain that, let's have Michael tell us how well that actually works.
Well, my name is Michael Johnson, and I am from Ohio, and I got into internet marketing, I guess my brother and I did, in early 2008 when we signed up and got started with the SEO Brain Trust and Link Liberation, and that kind of helped get on the right track. And so now we are doing just e-commerce. That's the direct we decided to go. First full year was 2011 when we did do 6 figures in sales, which in our market is pretty small. We knew it was. That was a very small piece of the pie. And so then now 2012, we've been able to increase traffic and sales over 3 times what they were last year. Yeah, the next few months we think will be even significantly a greater multiple than we anticipate. It's going to be probably even 6, 7, 8 times what we did last year. I think finally being able to focus on what was important, even during part of 2011, like I was easily distracted by the newest, marketing product or technique that was out on the market. And we even bought some and tried them, and it just took a lot of time. And so once we started to see results from Link Liberation and just the techniques and strategies that you guys taught, and so we basically, I don't even get the emails anymore for the other stuff. I unsubscribed. I filtered them out of my email, and so we just put 100% focus on the stuff that you guys were teaching, and I think that's really had a big impact. So at this point, we've created 9 different websites that we generate content on that are all related to our market that our e-commerce site is in. And yeah, we've seen tremendous success with that. We've been really happy with how that's gone. We've gotten to the point where we're getting enough traffic to these 9 other websites that they're practically paying for themselves for us to continue to generate the content to put on week after week. And for the most part, we're just using simple stuff like Google AdSense, but we're testing some different strategies to try to increase the revenue. But since we're close to break even, now we're looking at how do we ramp up the quantity of content, because it's basically free. It's free to do at this point. The way we've set it up is in the market we're in, people like to get their content featured on our sites. So we've actually not even put forth much effort in terms of asking for content, but we've had people just through our contact form, an email, ask us, hey, how can I submit an image, or how can I submit some content to your website? I'd love to share it with your readers. I'd say one of the biggest things is you have to decide which direction you want to go and just do it. I said I was distracted with a lot of other stuff before. It's so easy to get distracted in internet marketing because there's a new product coming out every week. And so really that was kind of a game changer when we finally decided, one, that we were going to do e-commerce, and two, that we weren't going to do any of the, shady gray hat, black hat stuff. So that's what we've done. And through all these different updates, a lot of the competitors have fallen. Their sites are finally getting picked up by Google as spam. And so I think that's just one of the biggest things, is to pick a strategy and stick with it. And, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just start doing stuff. Knowing that everything's aboard kind of gives you the peace of mind that you're going to have what you do for your business today is going to be good for it today, and it's going to be good for it, in the long run. It's been cool to see because it's basically taken us from the point of kind of hoping that we could make something work, kind of like that was our dream to make a living online with a legitimate business, and to actually see that come to fruition. We've gone from that dream to reality, to where it's supporting us, it's generating enough income for us, and it's great. I mean, it gives us peace of mind that we're doing it the right way, and flexibility in owning your own business.
Now, Michael is doing this stuff on a pretty large scale, at least to most folks. He's got 9 websites in addition to his money site. Funny thing is, those sites actually pay for themselves with AdSense. Plus, he also does more than $3,000 a month in referral sales from the content that he generates. Now, we think that's pretty good. One of the things that makes this work so well is that Michael has created a virtuous circle with his websites. And to be perfectly clear on this, these sites are all branded as part of his own business. He's not hiding anything from Google. This is totally above board and 100% white hat. A virtuous circle means that when people find your content, because you're doing all that audience building, some of them will end up following you on social channels like Twitter, Facebook, and other places. And then other people, or actually maybe the same people, will share links with their friends, which means more people will find your content, and the cycle just feeds on itself. When you see social buttons on a website, if the webmaster is using them correctly, they will help set up a virtuous circle. Now, it's important, vitally important, to know which buttons to use and where to get the most out of it. And it helps a lot if you're doing this part of a larger strategy, as we do in Link Liberation.
There's a whole week's worth of training in Link Liberation on setting up your social and link building machine, getting the right buttons in place and stuff like that. And it wouldn't be fair to you, or even safe, to start giving a one-size-fits-all plan for this, because there really is no such thing.
Michael also has users, people who visit his site, lining up to create content for him, which is another great form of leverage, and it only comes as a result of building and growing an audience. Now, the last person I want you to meet today is an SEO consultant. Picture this. Not only has Google just penalized all your own sites, but they also took away pretty much everything you've been doing for your SEO clients too. Not a good start for the year, right? Well, turns out Becky is doing just fine.
Hey, my name is Becky DeGrosse, and I have been marketing online for about 6 years. I was actually looking for information on e-commerce marketing. I had a new e-commerce client, and I found you guys with some information on that and was like, oh wow, this is cool. Well, I have 2 websites that were pretty much the same age, both booking along for about 2.5 years. Pretty consistent sales each month, number of sales per site. I mean, pretty established business. Good rankings as well, really good rankings on page 1 for those particular terms I was going after. Both of them got hit at the same time in March. Both of my sites got really hammered in terms of the high traffic terms that were on page 1. And so my traffic just plummeted. It went down like 50% overnight on both sites. and I was nowhere to be seen for those high traffic keywords. Okay, I'm going to start doing this content abstracting on one of these sites and see what happens. Well, all of a sudden my sales started increasing on that one site. The other site I didn't do anything with. It continues to drop. And so my sales right now are like, I don't know, like 1/10 of where they were before. So that was the interesting thing. They're both in the same market, both consistent sales, both got hit with the same penalty. I abstracted on one. It looks like my sales are back to where they were with only 6 weeks of abstracting. And my other site that I did nothing with continues to go in the toilette. This client actually, we had already done a lot of work to get her site to rank for large terms in her market. So, from where we sat, we thought, okay, we're doing great. We got her page 1 rankings for these top terms, and she's getting traffic, and she's selling workshops and, supervision services and all these things that she does. Well, then we started abstracting, and that was really all we were doing, was just abstract. And her traffic, her organic traffic, has increased over 90% just with that. And so that's like, whoa. And that, that's not, we're not going after a bunch more terms or anything like that. All we're doing is abstracting content. But I guess from an SEO company viewpoint, if you already have good rankings for what you're going after, you wouldn't think that something so simple would double your traffic. We have attorneys and we have a bunch of different, home builders and building supply companies. And so we're abstracting for them and doing, a few other things. And it's like, wow, their traffic's growing. They're actually already getting ranked pretty well for some of the terms we're going after that look pretty competitive to us. The biggest takeaway is that content is everything. Because what I've seen is that if you don't have the content piece, all this other stuff you do doesn't really matter. If you do have the content piece, the other things that you go do are magnified. I would have never believed it, but it's cool. We didn't lose any clients. We thought, oh, this whole Google thing changed everything. How are we going to even be in business, right? Because we're an SEO company and you can't do SEO anymore as we knew it. It was one that I thought was going to be the end of the world, but it's turned into something great.
A lot of the consultants we work with, and at some point it will be all of them, are doing abstracting for their clients as a service, along with other link liberation style audience building techniques. When you understand how to manage the process, it's actually very profitable because you can price it based on the results you get and pay for it at what it actually costs, which is, well, not very much.
So if you wanted to do abstracting for yourself or for your own clients, what would you need to get started? Well, first off, if you've already got clients, you'll probably be signed up for Link Liberation pretty soon anyway. And you can get the long version of this story then, along with the rest of the Link Liberation strategies. So let's focus for now on how you do this with one site with a blog already attached to it, in one market, with one topic. Fair enough? Okay. So first things first, start at the start. Okay, I'm out of cliches, but you need to start with what we talked about in the previous video. Think about your market, your audience, or at least a segment of that audience, come up with a topic, and start finding stories that you can share.
Then, with the same stories you are sharing on Twitter, start writing abstracts, a brief description of what people will get if they click a link to the story, followed by a link to the story itself. Post these abstracts to your blog. Now, on Twitter, you're still sharing just the links. I mean, a direct link to the story. You're writing abstracts on your blog, but you are not sending people to the abstracts from Twitter. It's better for audience building purposes if they're getting direct links and not being forced to click through your website to get to where they want to go.
Later on, you can start doing longer versions of the abstract, what we call commentary. This is the next level up on the content pyramid where you're still working off of other people's content, other people's stories. You can see an example here where I wrote up a more in-depth blog post about a story from Google about a change in AdWords policy. It's a little bit long to be called an abstract, but it only took me about 7 minutes to put it together. With commentary posts, you have enough added value to make a direct link from Twitter and other social channels make perfect sense. A lot of people will be glad that they read your post instead of going off all the way to the other site. Lifehacker.com, if you're not familiar with it, it's a great site, is built up almost entirely of commentary-style posts and abstracts. They also do a few other tricks that I don't have time to talk about today, like embedding and cross-linking, things that we'll talk about in Link Liberation. and they do a great job of engaging readers socially.
It gets even better though, because you can also do what we call summaries, like a weekly wrap-up of the best and most popular stories. Just use the title of the story and a link and a brief description. They're even shorter than abstracts. You'll find these on sites like searchengineland.com. For example, what they call Search Cap. It's just links to the stories they wrote before, and while your summaries will probably be a little bit different, you can link directly to stories you shared from other sites and to commentary posts that you've written that are on your own site. This is great for users, and it's also great content for you.
That's how the game is played these days, at least if you're playing to win. You start at the bottom of the content pyramid with high leverage, low effort activities, audience building, and create successively more valuable content that gets you more and more valuable links while maintaining your leverage.
As your audience grows, you can begin to do even higher level activities like link bait, user-generated content, and expand your marketing into more and more channels. Before we go, some warnings here.
First off, writing abstracts or summaries or commentary is not a place where you want to stuff in a bunch of keywords or a bunch of purely self-serving links to your own site. An abstract is original content, not just copying and pasting a quote from someone else's site. And in fact, it's better if you don't use any quotes at all until you really know what you're doing.
Second, what we have shown you in this and the previous videos are two very specific techniques using two very specific channels. And if you never do anything else, this is at least a start to getting you liberated from the old ways of link building. As long as you listen carefully, they are also very safe techniques that should not put you and your business on the wrong side of Google. And I know you for sure you don't want to be there. Now, of course, the full 8-week-long link liberation training contains a lot more and goes into a lot more depth on audience building, abstracting, multiple channels, the other content pyramids, there's more than one, so it's way too much to cover today.
So we'll be back soon with one final video to go over the whole program, explain in detail what we're teaching and what we're not, and make you an offer that we're pretty sure you won't want to pass up. We're so confident that you'll want to join us that we figured it would be easier to just start your training in these last two videos so you can really hit the ground running when Link Liberation starts this week.
And if you can't join us for some bizarre and incomprehensible reason, well, maybe we'll see you next time. Although I really don't think you'll want to pass this up once you see our offer. Anyway, we'll see you soon with video number 4, and in the meantime, thanks for listening. And because we want you to make more money, please get to abstracting right away. You might just be surprised how fast it works. Oh, and that reminds me, speaking of fast, we promised you some free software, plus the training goes with it. So if you just look below this video, you'll see the link to get access. It's completely free, and it makes abstracting a breeze. So give it a whirl, and please let us know what you think.